The Corexian fleet darkened Earth's skies on a Tuesday morning. No warnings, no demands, no chance for surrender. Their energy weapons carved through humanity's defenses like paper, turning cities to ash and military installations to molten slag. 7 billion lives snuffed out in less than a week. Or so they thought. Deep beneath the Siberian permafrost, in a facility so secret even most world leaders didn't know of its existence, something stirred. The facility's quantum sensors detected the extinction level event and initiated Protocol Omega. In cryogenic chambers 2 kilometers below the surface, hearts began to beat for the first time in 50 years. Colonel Sarah Chen's eyes snapped open, her enhanced nervous system already processing the situation before her consciousness fully returned. The cryopod's glass cover retracted with a hydraulic hiss as diagnostic systems confirmed her vital signs. She was the first to wake, as designed. Her augmented brain quickly accessed the facility's central database, downloading 50 years of history in seconds through her neural interface. "Status report," she commanded, her voice rough from disuse. The facility's AI responded immediately, its holographic interface casting a soft blue glow through the awakening chamber. Earth has fallen to an alien species designated Corexian. Global population reduced to approximately 0.001% of pre-invasion levels. Surviving humans are being processed in harvest centers. Corexian occupation forces have established 157 major bases across the planet. Orbital defense grid is compromised. Project Aegis remains undetected. Sarah processed this with the emotional detachment her enhancements provided. She was designed for this. They all were. Project Aegis, humanity's insurance policy against extinction. 200 soldiers, enhanced beyond normal human limits, preserved until they were needed most. "Wake the others," she ordered, reaching for her combat suit. The nanomaterial responded to her touch, flowing over her body like liquid metal before hardening into armor stronger than diamond. Priority sequence Alpha through Delta. Around her, other pods began to activate. Each soldier within was unique, specialized combinations of genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancement, and neural augmentation. They were humanity's best work, created by a secret coalition of nations in the aftermath of First Contact. Not everyone believed the aliens came in peace. They were right. Marcus Wade was the second to wake, his massive frame housing enough synthetic muscle to tear through tank armor. The former Australian Special Forces operator nodded to Sarah as his own suit activated. "Bad as it looks, Colonel." "Worse," she replied, watching as more of their team emerged. "But we have advantages they don't know about. The Corexians think they've won. They think humanity was just another primitive species to add to their collection." Dr. Yuri Volkov, their lead scientist, joined them next. His cybernetically enhanced mind could process complex calculations faster than any supercomputer. The facility's sensors have mapped their patrol patterns. Their technology is advanced, but predictable. They rely too heavily on their energy shields. "Which is why we have these," Sarah said, approaching the weapon vault. Inside were rows of specialized weaponry designed specifically for this scenario. Quantum phase rifles that could bypass energy shields, EMP grenades calibrated to their specific technological frequencies, and powered armor that could adapt to any environment. As more soldiers awakened, Sarah pulled up a holographic map of Earth. Red dots marked Corexian installations, pulsing with activity. They've spread themselves thin, thinking there's no resistance left. Their harvest centers are processing the remaining human population for their bioconversion programs. We hit those first. The Corexians have never faced anything like us, Marcus added, checking his weapons. They'd conquered dozens of worlds, but always through overwhelming force against conventional militaries. We're something else entirely. Sarah nodded, watching as the last of their team prepared for war. Each soldier represented the peak of human achievement, the perfect fusion of biological evolution and technological advancement. They were humanity's last card to play, and they would play it well. Our first target is the Harvest Center in former Moscow, Sarah announced, bringing up detailed schematics. 5,000 survivors are being processed there. We go in fast, we go in quiet, and we show these aliens exactly what humanity is capable of. The Corexians think they've written the final chapter of Earth's story. They're wrong. We're about to write a new one. The facility rumbled as ancient machinery activated, opening the long-sealed access tunnel to the surface. 200 of humanity's finest stood ready, their enhanced bodies humming with power, their minds linked through neural networks that would let them fight as one. Sarah Chen looked at her team. The last, best hope for humanity's survival. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. The Corexians thought they could erase us from existence. Instead, they're about to learn why you should never corner a species that clawed its way to dominance on a death world. The tunnel doors opened to reveal the frozen Siberian wilderness above. Somewhere up there, the Corexians were going about their business, confident in their victory. They had no idea that humanity's best warriors were about to emerge from the ice, like vengeful ghosts rising to reclaim their world. Project Aegis is now active, Sarah declared. Let's take back our home. The Moscow Harvest Center loomed against the twilight sky, its alien architecture a grotesque merger of organic and mechanical elements. Corexian processing ships hummed overhead, their purple energy fields casting an eerie glow over the frozen landscape. Inside, thousands of captured humans awaited a fate worse than death, conversion into biological components for the Corexian war machine. Sarah Chen's team moved like shadows through the ruins of the old city. Their adaptive camouflage rendered them nearly invisible, while their enhanced vision systems mapped every Corexian patrol pattern. The aliens had grown complacent in their victory, never expecting resistance from a supposedly conquered world. Control point ahead, Marcus whispered through their neural link. 3 sentinels, standard configuration, energy shields, and pulse weapons. Sarah's enhanced vision zoomed in on the targets. The Corexian sentinels stood 3 meters tall, their crystalline armor gleaming under the facility's lights. They were formidable machines, but Dr. Volkov's analysis had revealed their fatal flaw: a dependence on predictable patrol algorithms. Team Alpha, position for breach, Sarah commanded. Beta Team, prepare for prisoner extraction. Remember, these people have been through hell. They'll need careful handling. The assault began with impossible silence. Marcus led the first strike, his quantum phase blade passing through the Sentinel's shield as if it didn't exist. Before the other Sentinels could react, 2 more soldiers struck from different angles. In less than 5 seconds, all 3 guards were disabled without a single alarm raised. Impressive, Dr. Volkov commented through the neural net as he worked on bypassing the facility's security systems. The Corexians rely too heavily on their technological superiority. They never considered someone might develop countermeasures. Sarah moved her team into position around the facility's main processing chamber. What they saw inside made even their enhanced emotional control strain. Hundreds of humans were suspended in biological pods, being systematically broken down and rebuilt into components for the Corexian war effort. These monsters, Marcus growled, his hands tightening on his weapon. They're not just conquering us, they're recycling us. Focus, Sarah commanded, though she shared his rage. Dr. Volkov, how long to shut down the processing systems? 3 minutes to safely terminate the conversion process. Any faster risks killing the subjects. His cybernetic interface connected directly with the alien technology, fighting through layers of security protocols. That's when everything went wrong. A new alarm signature appeared on their tactical displays. A massive energy surge from orbit. Orbital patrol detected our systems breach, one of the soldiers reported. They're deploying shock troops. Sarah's mind raced through combat scenarios, her augmented intelligence processing options, faster than any normal human could think. Change of plans. Marcus, take your team and set up a defensive perimeter. Dr. Volkov, you have 2 minutes, not 3. Everyone else, prepare for heavy resistance. The first Correction shock troops arrived in balls of purple energy, materializing through their transport fields. They were the elite of the alien military, 3-meter-tall beings encased in living armor, wielding weapons that could vaporize unprotected humans instantly. But they had never faced enemies like Project Aegis. Sarah's team moved with superhuman speed and coordination, their neural network allowing them to fight as a single organism. Quantum phase rounds pierced alien shields, while EMP grenades disrupted their advanced targeting systems. The shock troops found themselves facing an enemy that could match their technology while exceeding their tactical abilities. Processing systems shut down complete, Dr. Volkov announced. Beginning mass pod extraction. The chamber erupted into chaos as hundreds of pods began opening simultaneously. Confused and terrified humans emerged, many seeing their first glimpse of hope in months. Sarah's team had practiced for this. Each soldier knew their role in the evacuation protocol. This is Colonel Sarah Chen of Project Aegis. She broadcast on all frequencies, her voice steady and commanding. We are human military forces here to evacuate you. Follow our soldiers' instructions. You are now under our protection. More Correction forces were incoming. They could detect the massive transport signatures approaching from orbit. But Sarah's team had planned for this too. Hidden throughout the ruins of Moscow, automated defense systems began activating, technology that had been waiting 50 years for this moment. Transport vehicles incoming, Marcus reported. 2 minutes until extraction routes are ready. The rescued humans moved with surprising order, their survival instincts kicking in as they followed the soldiers' directions. Many were weak from their time in the pods, but the sight of human soldiers fighting back against their captors seemed to give them strength. Colonel, Dr. Volkov called through the neural net. I've accessed their central database. The Corrections, they're not just conquering Earth. They're using processed humans to build something massive in scale. Save it, Sarah ordered. We need to focus on the evacuation. We can analyze their plans once these people are safe. The battle intensified as more shock troops arrived, but Project Aegis held their ground. Their enhanced abilities and specialized weapons proved devastating against an enemy that had grown too reliant on technological superiority. For every soldier they lost, the Corrections lost dozens. As the last transport vehicle filled with survivors, Sarah allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. This was more than a rescue mission. It was humanity's first victory against the invaders. The message would spread. Humanity was not defeated. Hidden beneath the ice, Earth's finest warriors had waited, and now they were fighting back. All survivors clear, Marcus reported. Ready for Phase 2. Sarah nodded, activating the sequence they had prepared. Throughout the facility, quantum charges began their countdown. The Corrections were about to learn another lesson about human warfare. We never leave anything useful for the enemy. Project Aegis, fall back to extraction points, she commanded. Today, we showed them we can hurt them. Tomorrow, we show them we can win. As the quantum charges detonated behind them, erasing the Harvest Center from existence, Sarah's thoughts turned to the battles ahead. The Corrections had conquered Earth through overwhelming force and advanced technology, but they had never faced an enemy that combined human ingenuity with matching technological capability. They would soon learn why that was a fatal mistake. The underground bunker beneath the ruins of Berlin buzzed with activity. 3 weeks had passed since Project Aegis' first strike, and the rescued survivors were already proving their worth. Dr. Volkov stood before a holographic display, his cybernetically enhanced mind processing the data stolen from the Moscow Harvest Center. The Corrections aren't just conquering worlds, he explained to Sarah and the other squad leaders. They're building something called the Nexus, a massive structure in orbit around each conquered planet. The processed biological material from their victims, it's being used as living computational nodes. Sarah studied the complex schematics floating before them. They're turning entire species into organic supercomputers. For what purpose? Control, Marcus interjected, his enhanced vision zooming in on specific portions of the data. Each nexus links to their central network. It's how they maintain dominion over dozens of worlds simultaneously. Dr. Volkov nodded. Precisely. And here's where it gets interesting. Earth's nexus isn't complete yet. We have a window of opportunity, but it's closing fast. The implications weren't lost on anyone in the room. Every day, more humans were being processed and integrated into the alien megastructure. Once complete, the Nexus would give the Coraxians unprecedented control over Earth's remaining systems. "Show me their primary processing centers," Sarah commanded. The hologram shifted, revealing a network of facilities across the globe. "These are their vulnerable points. We hit them all simultaneously." "Impossible," one of the squad leaders argued. "We don't have enough enhanced soldiers to strike every target." Sarah's lips curved into a slight smile. "We're not going in alone. Dr. Volkov, show them what you found in the Arctic facilities' lower levels." The hologram changed again, revealing schematics for what appeared to be military hardware. But unlike anything currently on Earth, prototype enhancement modules, Dr. Volkov explained, designed to temporarily grant normal humans some of our capabilities. They're not as powerful or permanent as our modifications, but they'll give us an army, Marcus finished. The survivors we rescued. Many were military personnel before the invasion. With these enhancements, we can build a resistance force, Sarah confirmed. The Coraxians believe they've broken humanity's spirit. They're wrong. Give people a chance to fight back, to protect their loved ones, and you'll see what humans are truly capable of. The next few days were a blur of activity. The survivors who volunteered for enhancement underwent crash courses in using their new abilities. Project Aegis soldiers served as trainers, teaching them to use quantum phase weapons and adapt to their temporarily enhanced reflexes and strength. Sarah watched from an observation platform as Marcus put a group through combat drills. Their movements were rough compared to the precise coordination of Project Aegis, but their determination was unmistakable. These were people who had seen their world destroyed, their families processed. Now they had a chance for revenge. "They're ready sooner than expected," Dr. Volkov noted, joining her at the railing. "Human adaptability continues to impress me, even after all our research." "The Coraxians made a fundamental mistake," Sarah replied. "They thought breaking our civilization would break our spirit. Instead, they'd given us nothing left to lose." The attack was planned for dawn, synchronized across all major time zones. 20 processing centers would be hit simultaneously, each strike led by Project Aegis soldiers supported by enhanced resistance fighters. But Sarah's team had drawn the hardest target, the primary processing hub in Shanghai. As her strike force prepared for deployment, Sarah addressed them through their neural network. "Today, we show the Coraxians that humanity isn't just fighting back. We're taking back our world. Every person you free is another soldier for our cause. Every facility we destroy weakens their control." The resistance fighters moved with purpose, checking their weapons and enhancement modules. These weren't the scared survivors they'd rescued weeks ago. These were warriors ready to take back their planet. The assault began exactly as planned. Quantum phase charges breached the facility's defenses simultaneously across the globe. In Shanghai, Sarah led the charge through the broken perimeter, her enhanced senses tracking every enemy position. The Coraxians responded with overwhelming force, but this time, humanity was ready. Enhanced resistance fighters moved with near superhuman speed, their quantum weapons piercing alien shields. Project Aegis soldiers coordinated the attack through their neural network, adapting tactics faster than the aliens could respond. "Their response patterns are changing," Dr. Volkov reported through the network. "They're attempting to adapt to our attack strategies." "Too late," Sarah responded, leading her team deeper into the facility. Marcus, status on other targets. 15 facilities breached, he reported from his position in Sydney. Heavy resistance at 4 sites, but we're pushing through. These bastards don't know how to handle an enemy that can actually fight back. In Shanghai, Sarah's team reached the central processing chamber. The sight of thousands of humans suspended in biological pods still filled her with rage. But now that rage had purpose. Begin extraction protocols. Prepare charges for. She stopped as her enhanced senses detected something different about this facility. Dr. Volkov, are you seeing this? The energy signatures. Fascinating, he replied, his cybernetic mind analyzing the data. This isn't just a processing center. It's a control node for the entire Nexus project. If we could access their networks from here, we could disrupt their entire operation. Sarah finished. How long do you need? 10 minutes. Maybe less with direct neural interface access. Sarah made her decision. All teams, adjust mission parameters. We're not just destroying this facility. We're going to turn it against them. As her soldiers secured the perimeter and began evacuating prisoners, Sarah watched Dr. Volkov work. His consciousness merged with the alien systems, fighting through layers of security, while Sarah's enhanced soldiers held off wave after wave of Coraxian shock troops. They know what we're trying to do, Marcus reported from Sydney. Heavy reinforcements incoming at all sites. They're getting desperate. Hold the line, Sarah commanded. Dr. Volkov. Almost there. His physical form stood motionless as his mind raced through alien networks. Colonel, you need to see this. The Nexus. It's not just for control. It's a weapon. They're building a network of biological quantum computers powered by processed species. Once complete, they could reshape reality itself. Sarah finished, her enhanced mind grasping the implications. This isn't just about Earth. This is about every species they've ever harvested. A massive explosion rocked the facility as Coraxian elite forces began their final push to stop them. But they were too late. Dr. Volkov's consciousness had already found what they needed. A weakness in the very foundation of the Coraxian control system. Upload complete, he announced, his consciousness returning to his body. I've planted a virus in their network. It won't destroy the Nexus, but it will prevent them from processing any more humans. We've bought ourselves time. Sarah nodded, activating the facility's self-destruct sequence. All teams, complete evacuations and fallback. The real war starts now. As they retreated from the burning facility, Sarah knew they had achieved more than just a tactical victory. They had given humanity something it had lost in those first terrible days of the invasion. They had given them hope. The command center deep beneath the Ural Mountains hummed with tension. Holographic displays showed the Earth wrapped in an ever-growing web of purple energy, the incomplete Nexus network that the Coraxians were building. But now, thanks to Dr. Volkov's viral attack, that construction had ground to a halt. They're adapting faster than expected, Dr. Volkov reported, his cybernetic interfaces streaming real-time data. The virus is holding for now, but they're attempting to route around it. I estimate 3 days before they can resume processing. Sarah studied the tactical display, her enhanced mind calculating possibilities. Then we have 3 days to launch Operation Sunbreaker. Show me the orbital defense grid. The hologram shifted, revealing the network of Coraxian battleships and defense platforms that encircled the Earth. At key points, massive energy conduits connected the orbital grid to the partially constructed Nexus. These connection points are their weakness, Marcus pointed out, his tactical enhancements highlighting specific nodes. The Nexus requires constant power flow from their ships. Disrupt that flow, and the whole network comes down. Sarah finished. But getting to those points means going into space. We weren't designed for orbital combat. Dr. Volkov stepped forward, bringing up new schematics. Perhaps not originally. But I've been studying the Coraxian transport technology we captured. With some modifications to our enhancement modules, we can bypass their orbital defenses, Sarah realized. Use their own transport systems against them. But we'll need a distraction. Something big enough to draw their attention planetside. I have an idea about that. Marcus grinned, pulling up a map of Coraxian ground forces. They're still using standard patrol patterns. Predictable. if we trigger simultaneous uprisings in major population centers. The plan came together quickly. Project Aegis had spent weeks building their resistance network, training enhanced fighters, and gathering intelligence. Now it was time to use everything they had learned. Sarah addressed the assembled resistance leaders through their neural network. This is our moment. The Corexians think they understand humanity. They think they can predict us. But they've never faced a species like ours, one that grows stronger through adversity. The operation began at midnight UTC. Across the globe, enhanced resistance fighters launched coordinated attacks on Corexian ground forces. The aliens responded exactly as predicted, drawing reinforcements from their orbital fleet to suppress what they believed to be a desperate last stand. Ground attacks proceeding as planned, Marcus reported from his command post. Corexian forces are fully engaged. Their orbital defense grid is down to minimal staffing. Sarah stood with her strike team in the modified transport chamber. Their combat suits have been upgraded with Dr. Volkov's latest modifications, allowing them to survive the vacuum of space. Remember your training. In zero gravity, every action has consequences. Make them count. The transport beam engaged, and Sarah felt the familiar disorientation as her molecules were disassembled and reassembled. When her vision cleared, she was floating in space, the curved horizon of Earth below her. Around her, her team materialized in perfect formation. First target acquired, she transmitted through their neural net. Move in. Quantum charges only. We can't risk debris fields. The Corexian defense platform loomed before them, its purple energy shields shimming in the starlight. But those shields were designed to stop kinetic weapons and energy beams, not soldiers using their own transport technology to phase directly through them. Sarah's team moved with practiced precision, their enhanced bodies adapting quickly to zero-gravity combat. Quantum charges were placed at key power junctions, while Dr. Volkov's cyber warfare suite kept the platform's AI occupied with false data. Security protocols detecting anomalies. Dr. Volkov warned through the network. We have maybe 10 minutes before they realize this isn't a system malfunction. That's all we need, Sarah responded, placing the final charge. All teams, report status. Confirmations came in from 3 other strike teams, each positioned at different points around the orbital grid. They would have to detonate simultaneously to prevent the Corexians from rerouting power through backup systems. Enemy fleet detecting our presence, Marcus reported from Earth. They're breaking off ground engagement. You're about to have company. Sarah watched as Corexian battleships began turning from Earth, their massive forms moving with surprising grace. All teams, prepare for detonation on my mark. Dr. Volkov, initiate Phase 2. This was the riskiest part of the plan. As the charges detonated, Dr. Volkov would attempt to seize control of the Nexus's partially completed systems, turning them against their creators. If it worked, they would gain control of the most powerful computational network ever created. If it failed, 3 Corexian heavy cruisers on approach, her tactical system warned. 2 minutes to weapons range. Sarah took a deep breath, unnecessary in her sealed suit, but calming nonetheless. All teams, detonate on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Space lit up as quantum charges detonated at 4 points around the Earth simultaneously. The energy conduits connecting the orbital grid to the Nexus collapsed, releasing massive waves of purple energy that rippled through space. Power disruption successful, Dr. Volkov reported, his voice strained as his consciousness battled through alien systems. Attempting to. Wait, something's wrong. The Nexus. It's not just shutting down. It's. Sarah watched in horror as the partially completed Nexus began to pulse with energy. The processed humans still connected to it were somehow responding to its destruction, their combined consciousness creating something unexpected. All teams, emergency transport now, she commanded, but it was too late. The Nexus exploded in a wave of quantum energy that defied physics itself. Sarah's enhanced vision captured it all, space itself seeming to bend and twist as the wave approached. The last thing she saw before the transport beam engaged was the Corexian fleet caught in the quantum cascade, their mighty ships twisted into impossible shapes by forces they thought they controlled. Then darkness took her, and Sarah Chen, humanity's finest soldier, fell into the unknown. Sarah Chen awoke to the sound of waves. Not the digital approximation she was used to through her neural interface, but real waves crashing against a shore. Her enhanced senses gradually came back online, processing her surroundings with military precision. She was lying on a beach somewhere in what used to be Southeast Asia, her combat suit partially deactivated but intact. The sky above was wrong. Where there should have been Corexian ships and the purple glow of the Nexus, there was only blue. Status report, she croaked through the neural network. For a moment, silence. Then, Colonel, thank God. It was Marcus's voice, thick with relief. We've been trying to locate you for 3 days. The quantum cascade, it changed everything. Sarah sat up, her augmented vision scanning the horizon. Dr. Volkov. Here, Colonel. The scientist's voice was different, more resonant somehow. Though I'm not entirely sure what here means anymore. The Nexus explosion, it wasn't just destruction. It was transformation. As if to emphasize his point, a holographic display materialized in front of Sarah, but not through any technology she recognized. The air itself seemed to respond to their presence, forming images out of light and shadow. The processed humans in the Nexus, Dr. Volkov explained. Their combined consciousness didn't just destroy the network. They evolved it, changed us, changed everything. Sarah watched as the display showed what had happened after the quantum cascade. The wave of energy had swept across Earth's orbit, consuming the Corexian fleet. But instead of destroying them, it had done something far more profound. The Corexians thought they could turn other species into components of their machine. Marcus said, and now Sarah could see him approaching along the beach, his form somehow both physical and ethereal. But they didn't understand what consciousness really is, what it can become when pushed to its limits. The holographic display expanded, showing Earth in its entirety. The planet was healing, not just from the invasion, but from centuries of human abuse. Green was returning to deserts, ice reforming at the poles, oceans clearing of pollution. The processed humans in the Nexus, Dr. Volkov continued, they became something new, something that could manipulate reality at a quantum level. And when the cascade hit us, all of us, enhanced soldiers and resistance fighters alike, we changed too. Sarah stood, feeling the new power thrumming through her enhanced body. She wasn't just interfacing with technology anymore. She was interfacing with reality itself. The survivors. All restored, Marcus confirmed. Every human the corrections processed has been returned, their consciousness intact but evolved. We're not just human anymore, Sarah. We're what comes after human. And the corrections. Dr. Volkov's holographic form gestured, and the display showed their former enemies. The mighty conquest fleet was still in orbit, but transformed. Their ships had become something like coral reefs in space, their consciousness integrated into Earth's new quantum network. They're learning, he said simply, learning what it means to be part of something greater than conquest. Their knowledge is ours now, and our humanity is theirs. It's a fair trade. Sarah looked down at her hands, watching as reality rippled around them. The enhancement modules, their weapons, even their neural networks, they all seemed primitive now compared to what they had become. We should be dead, she said quietly. That explosion should have killed us all. Maybe we did die, Marcus suggested. Maybe this is what comes after. Does it matter? Sarah watched as more of her soldiers appeared along the beach, walking through air, stepping out of light, emerging from the quantum foam of reality itself. Each one changed, each one evolved, but still fundamentally human, still carrying that spark that had made Project Aegis possible in the first place. What do we do now? She asked, not to anyone in particular. The answer came not in words but in understanding. The quantum network that had replaced the nexus showed her possibilities. Endless possibilities. Humanity wasn't just free. They had transcended their original limitations. The Corexians had tried to turn them into components of a machine, but instead they had become architects of reality itself. "We rebuild," Dr. Volkov said, his form shifting through possibilities like a kaleidoscope. "We explore, we grow, and most importantly, we remember." "Remember what?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. "Remember what made us human in the first place," Marcus said. "Our determination, our adaptability, our unwillingness to accept defeat." Sarah Chen, once a colonel in a secret military project, now something far more, looked out over the ocean. The waves still crashed against the shore. Some things remained constant even when everything changed. In the sky above, the transformed Corexian ships glittered like stars, no longer conquerors but fellow travelers on an unprecedented journey. "Project Aegis is complete," she announced to all who could hear, which now meant everyone, everywhere. But humanity's story is just beginning. Around the world, billions of evolved humans began to explore their new reality. The Corexians had come to Earth expecting to find just another species to conquer and process. Instead, they had catalyzed something unprecedented in the galaxy's history, the next step in consciousness itself. And somewhere, in what used to be Siberia, a facility beneath the ice lay empty, its purpose fulfilled. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had transformed. The super soldiers of Project Aegis had been created to save humanity. In the end, they had done something far greater. They had helped humanity save itself.